type of bonds that we have. We have infrastructure bonds that has also been in the market since this administration came on stream. Then we have the Sukuk bond. Remember the 100 billion naira that was raised to finance 25 specified road projects across the country. That was around the month of October. So we concluded the Sukuk bond. It was also massively subscribed. We got 150 billion naira, but the government decided to take 100 as planned in the offering document. Then we have the Nigeria Savings Bond, which is another innovative, what you call a retail investors bond for local investors who want to buy as little as 5,000 naira every month from that savings bond and give you some returns between 12 and 13%. That was part of the Buhari's administration bond program. So you can see that you've seen about 6 to 7 different bonds that the administration has put on the street within the last 1 year. We'll take time in the next days and weeks to run down through these bonds for you specifically and take a look at 2018. Okay, let's get to this story that is still in the news. Integrated Energy Trader Owando Nigeria PLC over the weekend issued a statement, says he's seeking injunction, or it has sought injunction against the Securities and Exchange Commission forensic investigation and head to a court of appeal. Owando has lost 2 of his first appeal against the SEC at the Lagos Federal High Court. Now he says he's going to the court of appeal, and why? The oil firm says is also taking the commission or his case to the National Assembly and to the executive, namely the federal government. Owando says he's strongly protesting the technical committee report of the Securities and Exchange Commission, other Muniru Guazo, saying that Guazo's administration, while he was in office, used the minority report or part of that report to push for a forensic investigation, which was wrong, according to the company, instead of the majority part of that report, which says there should be no need for a forensic audit. Owando's statement says the SEC's forensic team of investigators are yet to show up at the company's premises, despite claims by the regulator. Meantime, the shares of Owando remained on technical suspension at 5.99 naira at the Nigerian Stock Exchange, despite the leadership change at the SEC and the ongoing court battle between the energy retailer and the Securities and Exchange Commission. We're going to take a quick look at the market. So let's just start from Owando. Look at how investors are trading the shares of Owando with the legal battle going on. And, of course, the company taking its case to the legislature and the executive, that is the federal government. Now, Owando is escalating this face-off with the SEC all the way to the top of Nigerian government. This is how the listed oil and gas stocks were on Friday, where we went on for the weekend. Look at Owando there at the bottom of that. You find the share price remain frozen at 5.99. But you look at the volume, that's the bottom right of that page. You see investors there cashing out of this company. 3.174 million shares of Owando were traded on Friday as investors are struggling to get through the narrow door of Owando, selling down the shares of this company massively, almost on a daily basis, as the energy traders struggle to deal with the regulatory issues. Flip that page over. Let's look at a few others that are making some headway. Seplat. Seplat should be showing a green there. That was a 7.73%, the green shoot. In fact, the only green shoot we have on that space, in that space last week, Seplat, the E&P company, it traded at 540.05 on the counter, less than 17,000 units. So Seplat gave that segment a green shoot on Friday. Total was unchanged. Etana Oil, a mid-cap oil retailer with a few petrol stations, got a 2.233% haircut on Friday, sitting at 420. Global Spec and Japol were unchanged, but if you look at the volume also there in Japol, which is an oil and gas maritime services, a company providing tugboats and other services to oil companies operating within the oil industry, you can see 1.127 million ordinary shares of that company. Japol is sitting at 50 kobo per share on the counter. Cap Oil, that's Capital Oil and Rack Unity, bringing that to a close now. Cap oil and rack unity remain unchanged, and the prices unchanged. No transactions on those two stocks on Friday. There's been sitting there lackluster for days and weeks. Let's move on quickly and check through the stock market. Broadly speaking, we're now a little bit back at 43.02% year-to-date on the general stock index, despite 2.1% negative landing on Friday last week. We lost our 39,000. We're now 38,436. But some are still optimistic we could make 40,000 index reading before or by December the 31st. Market cap down to about 13.678. That's the equities capitalization of the stock exchange. You remember we separated that for you a few weeks ago. We have the equities cap, we have the capitalization for bonds, we have for the ETF as well. So we separated them. What you see there is the equities, the Naira value, the total Naira value of the total securities listed on the stock exchange, stocks that is excluding ETFs and bonds. Okay, let's go on. Look at it. Almost 2 billion shares traded last week. For 51.52 billion naira in 23,863 transactions. And these are the 5 sectors we'll be talking about in part 2 of the show. Let's bring those 5. These are the 5 most actively watched subsectors of the market: the banks, the consumer goods, the industrial goods, the insurance, and the oil and gas. So we'll be tracking these 5 for you as we look into equities power play in 2018. Put that at the back of your mind. Stick around for that conversation. And finally, in just about a few seconds, just give us a summary of the NESD over-the-counter page for last week. 1.48% went down. The NESD gained 1.48% on unlisted space. Let's return after the break, and we'll go back to equities play in 2018.